In my video entitled The Vile R*P of Mankind, we discussed how parasitic creatures in nature can and do manipulate other species, including humans, much akin to brainwashing. There is much needed context that I don't feel like typing, so being lazy, here's a copy-paste of info from that video. In the electromagnetic spectrum, which consists of various rays of radiation from radio to microwave to infrared to gamma, the visible light spectrum makes up a tiny fraction. About 98% of the electromagnetic spectrum is invisible to us. Think about all the different life forms we can see in just that 2%, and then imagine how many more there could be that we can't see. There are energies and entities all around us, all the time. Look around at all the life you see. And remember, that is just a tiny fraction of what's really there. Chances are that other entities wouldn't be anything like us humans. Odds are they would be filthy, primal, parasitic monstrosities that use similar ways of survival as the insects and microscopic viruses found on Earth. It's the same microscopic parasitic viruses whose very survival is contingent on its biological takeover of a host in an exploitation of its host species. But imagine a microscopic virus grown to be as big as a human adult, or perhaps bigger. The fact is, these creatures could already be here on Earth, eradicating our species in secret, while hiding in the best place for them to evolve in secret and take over the world with no one ever noticing. In deep contrast to the optimistic conceptions, these beings would penetrate our bodies in a vile form of rape, making it the ultimate pessimistic conception. What makes this so frightening is its familiarity. But it is entirely accurate with the Western notion and fears of humanity's most basic function: sex. Okay, now with that, on with the video. Alien's Xenomorph can be interpreted as a shadow self of humanity, especially if we view it through the lens of Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, the part of the psyche that contains repressed instincts, desires, and qualities we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. The Xenomorph represents an externalized projection of humanity's darkest traits, emphasizing its parasitic, destructive, and survival-driven aspects. The Xenomorph's reliance on hosts for reproduction mirrors humanity's tendency to exploit resources, environments, and other species for survival. On a deeper level, it reflects how humans parasitize one another socially, economically, and emotionally, sometimes draining others to sustain their own needs. The horror lies in recognizing this truth. The Xenomorph's parasitism is not alien, but a magnified reflection of our own behaviors. In humans, the shadow self is often buried beneath layers of mental armor, protecting the ego from confronting its primal and instinctual nature. Unashamed of its hard, cold exterior, the Xenomorph externalizes humanity's hidden tendency to protect itself from vulnerability at the cost of empathy and connection. Its biomechanical exoskeleton symbolizes emotional as well as psychological defenses, hard, impenetrable, and inhuman. The Xenomorph's acid blood is corrosive and destructive, reversing the life-giving symbolism of human blood. This inversion reflects humanity's potential for harm, the ability to destroy rather than nurture. Symbolically, it suggests the hidden violence in human nature, where even what sustains life, like creativity, energy, and passion, can become destructive if not acknowledged and integrated. The Xenomorph is driven entirely by instinct, hunting, killing, and reproducing without morality, empathy, or thought for the future. It embodies humanity's repressed primal drives, aggression, domination, and survival at all costs. These are traits modern humans often suppress in favor of civilization, but they remain present in the shadow, waiting to surface under stress or fear. Xenomorphs function as a hive mind, with no individuality beyond their role in the collective. This can be seen as a reflection of humanity's fear of losing individuality to societal systems like capitalism or militarism, or primal urges. In the shadow, the ego fears dissolving into collective or instinctual behavior, where rationality and personal identity are overwhelmed by unconscious drives. The facehugger, which implants the Xenomorph embryo into a host, is deeply symbolic of both creation and violation. It mirrors human fears of losing one's agency, or being used as a vessel for something beyond our control. The facehugger viscously penetrates a human in a vile form of rape to both implant itself and break out through the chest. Victims of rape can consequently become cold and untrusting of others, as if their own heart was destroyed. It reflects the darker duality of parenthood, such as the parasitic relationship between parent and child, where the mother gives life to a child that takes the life from her. Besides the intrusion of a male's sperm aiding in reproducing a child, either consensually or not, such a transformation can exist emotionally, where something foreign grows within and consumes the self, a powerful metaphor for internal conflict. In many ways, the xenomorph is a darker reflection of humanity. Just as the xenomorph spreads without care for the ecosystems it destroys, humanity has historically exploited the Earth without regard for long-term consequences. Much like how humanity is increasingly integrating itself with technology, blurring the lines that separate them, the xenomorph is biomechanical, a fusion of organic and synthetic elements. The xenomorph externalizes humanity's fear of its own primal self, framing it as a monstrous other rather than acknowledging it as part of the human psyche. Its allure may lie in the desire to not be controlled by emotions. This could be a quality humans secretly fear but are also fascinated by, such as the psychopathic ability to operate without emotion, distraction, or hesitation, driven either by the need to survive or a desire for power. A creature with power cannot be reasoned with and refuses to be controlled. The xenomorph's horror stems from its embodiment of traits humanity refuses to confront. What if we are just as parasitic, destructive, and relentless as the creature? The resolution, in Jungian terms, lies in integrating the shadow, recognizing and accepting these aspects of ourselves rather than denying or repressing them. This would mean acknowledging humanity's potential for destruction, learning from it, and consciously choosing to act differently. By confronting the xenomorph as a shadow self, we are forced to ask ourselves how much of this horror is alien and how much is deeply human.